It is May 15th, and I'm Mark Stewart. Here we go with Amendments 6 through 10, how one governor would protect them more. Number 6 is about due process. And we've had a problem, definitely at the federal level. I hope it's not happening in Connecticut, with confiscations based on suspicion. Confiscations of property, people's cars, because they were suspected of being drug dealers. Suspicion, not proof. Motel owners whose property was either shut down or taken away and sold because there were some drug dealings taking place in a fourth-floor motel room that they didn't even know about. Takings is a drastic action. It's just short of imprisonment, because for some people, their livelihood is at stake if you can't earn money or use the property that you have. It's drastic. And thus, police forces need to have convictions before there is a taking of your property. It's interesting. In 2012, the federal program for auctioning off confiscated goods in the drug war was actually ended by Loretta Lynch. Now, ostensibly, that's a good thing. It would have been a very good thing if her reason for it was, well, this is not right. No, her reason for it showed so much incompetence of government. It was ended because the drug sale of property was losing money. For God's sakes, the government, with net cost of 0 to acquire goods, they took them. There was no cost of goods sold, and they couldn't find an auctioneer or somehow turn a profit on their 0-cost goods. So they shut it down. Good result, wrong reason. Number 7, the right to trial by jury for cases in excess of $20. Now, inflation from 1787 would probably put that now at about $500. Still, nobody goes to trial over $500 with a jury because it's too expensive. I think that's wrong. I think people should be able to have their day in court more easily. What this governor, Mark Stewart, would do would have more professional jurors. The system of lay jurors that are not paid and rotated almost guarantees injustice. It's very inefficient because of the voir dire proceedings about how you get a supposedly impartial jury. And in the end, there's always some partiality. But what professional jurors would get is a better sense of truth. I'd like to see far more retirees on jurors. They've been through so much, and more cases before them, they can start saying, he's a liar. She's telling the truth. I want that. And it won't cost us any more in the net long run. More cases, more fairly adjudicated. Now, I believe in tort reform as well. Some of these cases shouldn't be in front of the jury because of the doctrine of individual responsibility that we need to assert. Ladies and gentlemen, spilling hot coffee that's in your possession and you know how hot it is on your lap doesn't give you the right to sue McDonald's. Those cases should be thrown out of court. No chance of settlement. Or if there's a slim chance, it's not clogging up the court system. Amendment 8, which says no cruel and, keyword, unusual punishment shall exist. Well, torture might be unusual these days. Cruel has an interesting definition, and I think we need to be literal. It's with the idea of a sadistic. It is that you take joy and pleasure in the punishment. State officials have a solemn responsibility to put offenders behind bars, to make sure they are not doing evil while behind bars, or to make sure that they are not helping plot evil in a continual way. There may be a need to push on wrongdoers forcefully, and it's not cruel if you're doing it out of a solemn duty and not to see them suffer, but to see justice and to keep people safe. Numbers 9 and 10 are the amendments that protect individuals against all other government predations, because the federal government is prohibited from going into places where it wasn't specifically empowered to do. The Constitution is a document that limits the federal government's power. 9 and 10 help assure that, declaring that the power, except for these few places where we've granted it to Congress or the President or the administration, except for those places, decision-making power and personal rights rest with the people or the states. How would I apply it? It's called the conscientious objector to the tax code. So many things have been usurped by the federal government. Things it has no constitutional duty doing. Obamacare, for one. Medicare, Medicaid, a lot of our transportation enactments, things like college funding, things like research grants to private corporations and universities. These are not empowered in Article 1, Section 8, and they waste a lot of money. Thus, if a taxpayer is a conscientious objector to the unconstitutional forcing of federal funds from your pocket to these undeserving places, he can object. Pay for just what you use of the feds. We all use the military indirectly. It's there to protect us, okay? That's essential, and it's empowered. Constitution empowers control of the patent office, radio spectrum, but so many other things which constitute probably 65% of the federal budget, unconstitutional. If a Connecticut taxpayer objects, doesn't want to pay that 65% share, pay the 35%, pay another 10% goodwill, a tithe to the feds, and you still keep the majority of your federal income tax here. I will protect that. I will negotiate with whoever's in D.C. Donald Trump's still up there. He does deals. He might like this one. We will protect honest taxpayers against a dishonest federal government. With that, let me wrap up and finish with 2. Because I need to remind people that it's a dishonest federal government that the Second Amendment is there to protect. Tyranny was what the founders feared. And the way to protect against government tyranny is an armed citizenry. So when people say, oh, but there's no militia anymore, so this doesn't apply. Sorry. It never was hinging on militia. It was hinging on the threat of tyranny, and that still exists. As long as that's in existence, you have the right not only to bear a gun in your arms, you have the right to bear a surface-to-air missile if you've got credible evidence that there's a plane, government forces, going after your village somewhere in the United States. You have the right to have an anti-tank weapon if you know that there are government forces after your ranch. That's the kind of Second Amendment protection that we need to respect. I am here to do that. Please count on me.